Hello. Today we're in John chapter 9, and we will start with verse 13. The Bible says they brought to the Pharisees him that aforetime was blind. Well, the people who are bringing the blind man to the Pharisees, we know from verse 8, are his neighbors. His neighbors, the Bible is not necessarily talking about those who lived directly beside him. But what that means is those who lived in the village or in the area where he grew up. So these neighbors knew this man. They knew who he was. They knew he was blind. Maybe even some of the older neighbors remember when he was born and remember the entire situation. So these neighbors are bringing him to the Pharisees. Now remember, the Pharisees are the religious people. And we've seen before, and we continue to see this throughout all of the Gospel of John, that these are the ones who do not like Jesus. In fact, they hate him. And we've seen already that they've wanted and they've even tried to kill him. So they're bringing him to the Pharisees. And verse 14 tells us it was the Sabbath day when Jesus made the clay and opened his eyes. So already we've seen that Jesus has healed on the Sabbath day. And this has infuriated the Pharisees. And so Jesus has healed this blind man on the Sabbath day. Then again, the Pharisees also ask him how he received his sight. So the Pharisees ask the blind man, "How is it that you received your sight?" He said unto them, "He put clay upon mine eyes, and I washed, and do see." So he tells the exact details. He adds nothing. And that is such an important aspect. That's such an important thing in the Bible. When we tell our testimony, we don't have to add anything. Just give the details. Tell what Jesus did for you. It is your story, and the details are important. Sometimes we may back away from the details because we're thinking that others may not see those details as important. Or we may think that others may be critical because of the details. You tell your story. You tell the details. And others, they will add to the details. And sometimes they do that to make themselves look better or more spiritual. Don't do that. Your testimony is powerful. Your testimony will honor and glorify Jesus every single detail. But if you add something, that's a lie. If you put something in that did not happen, that is a lie. And those lies, if you tell them in your testimony, they will take away from the power that is in your testimony. So this man told it exactly like it was. Therefore said some of the Pharisees, "This man is not of God, because he keepeth not the Sabbath day." Well, they're talking about Jesus. And so some of the guys, because this happened on Saturday, which was the Sabbath, they said, "This cannot be of God." Others said, "How can a man that is a sinner do such miracles? And there was a division among them. Well, the miracle spoke for itself. This man was blind, and now he's healed. That can only happen from somebody that is from God. He can't be a sinner, because there's no way a sinner could do this. And so there was a division among them. That is typical. When Jesus comes in, there will be division. Some people will receive him and receive the truth, and others will not receive him. They believe what they believe, and they are determined to never change, no matter what Jesus says or teaches. And no matter what the Bible says and teaches, they are not changing. And the more that you see from the Bible, those same people will become more and more aggravated and agitated. And sometimes they will get angry with people who do believe the Bible. So the Bible says there was a division among them. Now verse 17. They say unto the blind man again, What sayest thou of him that he hath opened thine eyes? He said, He's a prophet. So the blind man, he doesn't know all about Jesus. But here's what he knows. He knows some of the Bible. He's been taught some things. And the only people he knows of that can do miracles are prophets. And now, in the Bible, in the Old Testament, which is the only thing this blind man could have been familiar with, there was never an example where a blind person was healed. So, but he does know there were examples where people with leprosy were healed. And he probably knows of the examples where people that were dead were raised to life again. So he's figuring he must be a prophet. And so he doesn't know all about Jesus yet, but he's learning. And that's another good lesson for us. We believe what the Bible says about Jesus. We know that we haven't seen it all, and we know that there's much more for us to learn. But what we know from the Bible, we believe. That's it for today. See you next time.